So welcome back, and this is going to be kind of the last video I'll do of making this part. So if you enjoyed this series, please go ahead and consider liking and subscribing and all the other rest of this stuff if you like doing or seeing videos of me creating things like this, especially in these two programs. Okay, so you did see me do the isometric of it, and you also see me do this in AutoCAD 3D. Now we're going to take a look at opening this up in Inventor. And we're going to switch over to Inventor, and then I'll show you how it works. It's a little bit more user-friendly, but you can do the exact same things that we did in AutoCAD. So when opening up Inventor, everybody's screen is going to be somewhat kind of a little bit differently here. But the way I like to approach this is I hit the new icon here at the top. It's going to bring open this dialog box. And underneath the English US, because that's the version that I'm using, you'll have the English, the metric, and some other folders. This drawing happens to be metric, so I'm going to click on the metric icon. And the way that this is set up, and I'm just kind of moving this out a little bit, is that what kind of part do I want to create? So do I want to create a sheet metal part? And this first one is just the part files of what we're going to be using. This next one will come into play when we have assemblies and putting them together. We'll have drawings is this next one. And then the last one is going to be presentations. So in this drawing, we're going to be focused on making a part. So I'm choosing the standard millimeter IPT. You can either double click on this icon or one click it and hit the create. Either one will work. All right. So you're going to give it a little bit of second for it to load up, and it's going to kind of change the ribbon, and it'll open you up in an Inventor environment. Okay, so once it opens up in this Inventor environment, you're going to see that we have a ribbon across the top. And if you used AutoCAD 3D, some of these are going to look familiar to you. All right, so the first thing I need to do, just like I did in AutoCAD, is I need to create a sketch. And this is going to happen for all parametric drafting that you do, no matter which program that you're using, whether it be SolidWorks or NX. So I'll go ahead and start a 2D sketch, and since it doesn't have a plane to create, Inventor sets you up and say, hey, go ahead and select the plane. Now this depends on how you want to create this, and I'm going to start off by making the L shape first, which in this drawing is going to be this face here. So we're going to make this our front face. This is going to be my right side, and of course the top is going to be running across the top of it. So looking at the view cube, I see the front face is here. Therefore, I'm going to select the XY plane. And once you select it, it should turn blue and activate, and it should rotate your screen around to be on that view. Alright, so once it's done that, your ribbon at the top will also change. And these are going to be some of those familiar icons or commands that you see when you're using AutoCAD. If you use the parametric function in AutoCAD, these icons will look really close, if not exact, to the ones that you're going to see there. You're going to also see that there is an AutoCAD button here. So if I created a sketch in AutoCAD, something that's super complicated, I can bring it in from AutoCAD and put it here. Alright, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to sketch out my part. And this is one of the things that's a little bit different from AutoCAD versus Inventor. We have the option of just kind of freehand sketching this, or we can be exact. And what I mean by that is that I'm just going to start creating the shape that I want to make. So I'm just going to start by the line command. I selected my first point. I'm coming straight down. You can see that I get a vertical icon. I'll go across this way, up this way. And now what I'm trying to do, you can see that it gives me some tracking to that midpoint. I'm trying not to touch that because it will put a constraint there. So I'll just go a little bit past it. Come back this direction. And it doesn't matter if you kind of make these lines a little crooked as well, and I'm going to mess this one up on purpose for you. And kind of create my shape to look like this. Okay, you know that I'm trying to create an L shape. We have some some constraints in general that we can do to line this up. So for example, if I want to make this a horizontal line, I can select the horizontal icon, and then select this line. You'll see that when I come and touch this line, or I'm getting a preview of which direction horizontal is. So once I go ahead and click on this, that line will snap to be horizontal, as well as this one. Try not to go to the midpoint of these lines, actually select on the line. So physically select on the line. Next, I want to make this line vertical, so I can select the vertical icon, and I can select here. Now I can start putting dimensions on this, and what I usually like to do is start with my largest dimension. So I'll start with a dimension. I'll go ahead and place it here. I'll come down and place it, and now, once I go ahead and click where my location of my dimension is, I'll go ahead and put the number that I want here, and I'm going to use the 110. I'm purposely leaving off the 10 that's on the front of this. Once I hit OK, it's going to scale the whole entire drawing up. So that's why I always start with my biggest number first, or the largest number that I can use on my sketch. Okay, let's go ahead and put some of these other dimensions on it. So I'm just selecting the icon, select the line, come here and place it. Once I place it, I'll type in the number. I'll do it again here. So I'm just going to select the line. I'm trying not to select the midpoints or the endpoints. I'm selecting the actual line. So once I click it, then I'll click up here at the top, and I'll type in that number. Here on the front side, I don't know that length. I happen to know this length, so I'll select this line. Go ahead and place that and give it its dimension. Okay? Now, I need two more dimensions, and if you know anything about three-dimensional, I have to give it a reference in reference to this center point. I have to locate my sketch in reference to this center point. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to use some of this stuff here and make sure that my part is centered. So I'm going to go dimension. I'll select this dimension or that line, and then I'll select my center point. Once I select that, I'll come down and place that dimension. While you see the edit dimension is activated, go ahead and select the 110 dimension and then divide that by 2. Now keep in mind that this overall number is actually going to be 120, and we can adjust that if we want to. So we can actually add some functions inside of this. So you can kind of remember back to creating a equation for this. I can put an open parentheses in front of my D1, and then I can say plus 10, close parentheses, and then that will be that divided by 2. Once I hit the OK button, you're going to see that that number is 60. Now, I can also add that length to here that I'm going to use on that offset, but I'll do that later. Okay? Now, let's go ahead and put the other dimension on here. My overall height of this one is 90. So I'm going to select a dimension. I'm still in the dimension. Select this line, and then this center point. I'll come and place it. I'm going to select this dimension, and then I'll divide it by 2. Okay? Now, your part should be fully constrained. The way you can know that is if you check down here at the bottom, it says fully constrained. Go ahead and hit the finish icon. And I'm just going to scroll back a little bit now. This is another thing. If you're used to using AutoCAD, the scroll is the opposite direction. So, in case you kind of get a little mixed up on it, you're scrolling in and out on this is going to change things. Okay? So, just remember that it's backwards. Once I've done that, I'll go ahead and hit the extrude icon, and you're going to see that this shape will automatically highlight. The dialog box should come up, and the shape will already start previewing some kind of extrusion. I can control which direction I want that extrusion to go, and in my case, I'm going to split it and make it symmetric. And then I'll type in the distance that I want it, and that overall distance, in this case, will be 80. I'll go to 80, go to OK, and now this is created. You can also see over here in your browser tree that you do have an extrusion. If you expand the little plus here, you're going to see that that's the original sketch. So if there's something that I need to go back and change, I can always double click on this, and I'm double clicking on the icon of the sketch, and that'll bring me back into the sketch mode so I can modify this. I can get out of this by simply hitting the finish sketch, or you can right click in the white area and then go to finish sketch. Okay, so you can always go back and change this. Also, if I wanted to change the distance that was, you remember my extrusion was 80. If I double click on this icon, it should bring me back open to the dialog box, and then I can change that distance. And hit OK. Now I'm going to create a sketch on this face because that's where my front of my part is going to be. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select on this face, Once I select it, you get some icons that appear. The third icon is going to be the one that I'm going to create a new sketch on that face. Oh, and I apologize. It's not the third one. I'm sorry. It's this icon, which is, I think, the fifth one. And you should get a tooltip telling you that that's the one that's going to create a sketch. So once I select here, it's going to highlight this face. It's going to rotate it around to that face. And then we should be able to create a sketch on it. Okay, now we're actively having a sketch on that small face that we have here. If I click this top left corner of my view cube, you're going to see as I rotate around, you can see that that sketch is indeed on that face. I'll go ahead and click back on the right side. Then I'll continue with my sketch. So with this one, we have some kind of lines and some heels that we can use. This sketch here at the bottom, I can also include this into my sketch. So if I start with the line command, and I click on this endpoint, you're going to see that that sketch will highlight this line. And now that's included in my sketch. So I'll come up in place here. And once again, I'm just kind of freehanding this in. And I know that I'm going to keep these in line with each other, so that's why I am putting a hard stop here. And you can see that it did track off of that endpoint. I'll click. Come all the way over to here. Then I'll click back down to here. Let's go ahead and put some dimensions on this. So I'll go to dimension. I'm going to dimension this line. This number will be 50. I can go ahead and dimension this line here. It's going to be set to 20. I can dimension this line here. It's going to be set to 40. And now I cannot try to put a dimension on this line because you'll see that it's going to over constrain it, but I'll go ahead and put it on here for you. And once I place it, it should give you an error saying that, hey, you're attempting to do something that's over constraining it. I'll just hit cancel on that. And now I need one more dimension, and if I'm not mistaken, it's going to be this one here. Okay, so let's go ahead and put a dimension on that one, which is going to be this line here. It's going to be 20. So now you can see that this is fully constrained. I have all of my lines. I'm going to take a look at this sideways for you. You can see that this bottom line is yellow, but that is included into the sketch, and it is fully constrained. I'll go ahead and go to Finish Sketch. Go ahead and use the Extrude function. It should highlight the face that you want, and now it's going in the right direction. Change this number to 10, and you can also see here I have some Boolean operations, and this one is saying that I want to join this to this face. Now I can keep these two separated if I select this icon, and it will just create a new solid here. So it'll be two separate solids. But in our case, we want to join it. Go and hit the OK button, and you're going to see that it will create that face. All right, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make that rectangle part that goes here and shoot through. So I'm going to select this face. Once again, I'm going to select this icon. It's the Create Sketch. Wait till it rotates around. I'll choose the rectangle. I'm going to click somewhere along this line, and then I'll place it here. Let's go ahead and add our dimensions. So we're going to do a dimension from this line to this line. Go ahead and place it. This will be 25. This distance going across, sorry, I accidentally hit that midpoint, so I'll go back to dimension. This dimension here is going to be 20. And I do have my 25, and now I just need to give it a height, which in this case will be 20. And then the last thing is that it's trying to figure out where this line is. So I actually didn't select this line here. That's easy enough. I can choose a coincidence option. I can select my bottom line here, that endpoint here, and that's going to move it down. If yours did select that bottom line, you don't have this function to worry about. Just keep in mind to always keep your eye and see if it's fully constrained. Go ahead and Finish Sketch. Choose Extrude. And you're going to see that this is going to start building this and assuming that I want to go this direction. When I change the direction of this, so I'm going to flip it, you're going to see that this icon automatically switched to subtract. So now it's in a subtract function automatically for me. And then I can tell it that I want to go through this distance, right? So I can type in a distance. Or I can select this icon here that says, hey, send it through all of it. And hit OK. So now if I rotate around, you should be able to see all of this shape as it's cut through. Okay? Alright, so I hope you enjoyed doing this. If you wanted to create a drawing of this one in this program, you would have to always save your part first. So as we get to doing some of these other ones, we will kind of venture off into doing that. So I'll show you a few basic drafting stuff as we get a little bit more comfortable using Inventor. So thank you for watching, and once again, if you like these videos, please like, subscribe, share, all the wonderful things. Alright, so I want to thank you for watching, and I'll start another series of parts just like this one. So we'll start back in AutoCAD. Alright, thank you for watching.